Elon Musk warned the billionaire about 3 men coming to the black homeless man's shelter tomorrow. It started with a tweet. No, actually a viral video. Samuel, the black man everyone usually ignores, suddenly had the whole city buzzing. They saw him sitting on a battered cardboard box in the alley near Tech Street. But what caught fire wasn't his worn clothes or tired eyes. It was Sam talking, fast, sharp, and soaked in raw intelligence no one expected from a homeless man. This morning, the headline screamed across every screen. Elon Musk warned the billionaire about 3 men coming to the black homeless man's shelter tomorrow. People started whispering, why would Elon Musk, yes, the Elon Musk, be worried about some ragged guy with a ragtag shelter? Let's count the strange facts. First, the men. They're not just anybody. Word is, they're shadowy figures with connections so deep in corporate crime, you don't breathe their names out loud. No one knows exactly who they work for. When these guys arrive, trouble follows close behind. Wrecked lives, silenced witnesses. Second, the location. Sam's makeshift home is a tiny patch of cracked concrete, surrounded by trash and graffiti screaming of social wreckage. Yet he's guarded it fiercely, like a lion protecting its last shred of dignity. That spot is a tomb of secrets, a place where odd energy hangs in the air, heavy and sharp. Third, and perhaps the darkest piece, the secret Samuel supposedly holds. A secret whispered on the streets, on tech blogs, hacked overnight, and posted by unknown accounts. The secret that could change technology forever. Something so powerful, it could either set humanity free or chain it tighter than ever. People say Elon's preparing to reveal an AI project that could outsmart us all. They say the 3 men want to steal a missing piece, one Sam holds, but doesn't fully understand. But here's the twist. Musk doesn't just want the secret. He's been trying to find Samuel for weeks. Some say they might be working for Musk's rivals, or worse, for Musk himself. The street lamps flickered as a cold wind swept down the alley. Someone called Sam's name, a harsh whisper that sliced through the night. Samuel's eyes narrowed, sensing the nightmare closing in. After years soaked in pain, rejection, silence, now his heart thudded loudly. Was this the moment his world cracked? Or could it finally be a chance to flip the script? A chance to fight back? The city holds its breath. 3 men. A billionaire tangled in secrets, and Samuel, the man nobody saw coming, are about to collide. What will come out when the night's shadows break? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Samuel's heart raced, thumping hard against his ribs like a warning drum. Shadows swirled in the dim light, and the chill in the air pressed down on him like a heavy cloak. 3 men were coming, and he felt it in his bones. They were trouble, shrouded in the kind of darkness that seemed to seep into the alley itself. He stood up straight, tucking the edges of his worn blanket tightly around him. The street was unusually quiet. Even the usual clattering and shouting from the nearby bars faded into the background. It was as if the whole city was holding its breath, waiting for the storm to break. As Samuel scanned the alley, so a figure stepped out of the shadows. Not one of the three dark men, but someone familiar. Kelly, a tech journalist who had been one of the few to believe his story, even when others dismissed him. Her bright eyes searched his face, and he could see the concern etched in her brow. "Sam, you need to go! They're here!" she whispered urgently. Panic laced her voice. Before he could respond, thunder rumbled in the distance. Rain started to fall, heavy drops hitting the pavement like bullets. Kelly grabbed Samuel's arm, her grip tight and desperate. "Please, come on!" But just as he opened his mouth to speak, the air changed. A screeching sound cut through the night. The sound of metal on metal. A black SUV barreled down the alley, tires screeching, fishtailing as it came to a halt. The headlights blinded him for a moment. Out stepped three men, dressed in dark suits that seemed to absorb the shadows around them. Their faces were cold and hard, eyes narrowed, scanning the surroundings like wolves. Samuel's breath caught in his throat. "Stay back!" he shouted, surprise and fear mixing in his voice. But before any of them could take another breath, a loud bang erupted from the SUV. The sound echoed like an explosion, reverberating in Samuel's ears. Everything shifted. Kelly's face twisted in horror. "No!" But it was too late. A figure emerged from the SUV, not one of the three men, but someone who shattered Samuel's world even more than the gunshot. It was Laura, his estranged sister. He hadn't seen her in years. The shock of it sent a wave of confusion crashing down on him. "Sam, get down!" Laura yelled, rushing towards him. Her voice was filled with urgency, more fervent than he had ever heard it. "They're not who you think they are!" The three men froze, confusion etched on their faces. A standoff unfolded, the rain pouring harder, drenching them all. Samuel's mind raced. How did Laura know him? Why was she here? "I thought you abandoned me!" he shouted through the chaos. The hurt rushed out before he could hold it in. "Listen to me," she pleaded, fear flickering in her eyes. "These men are not looking for you yet. They're after something else, and you have to trust me." His heart felt like it was caught in a vice. Everything he knew shifted wildly. Were they really there for him? Or was there something twisted at play, far beyond anything he could grasp in that moment? A commotion erupted. The men moved toward Laura, their intentions growing darker by the second. Samuel's pulse quickened. He knew, somehow, things were not as they seemed. In a heartbeat, a truth so big, so chilling, it could unravel everything flashed before him. Laura was not just a sister seeking redemption. She wore a smile that seemed practiced, a facade hiding a dangerous game he was now part of without ever being invited. The air crackled with tension as Samuel realized he was standing at a precipice. One wrong move could lead him over the edge. "What have you been hiding, Laura?" he hissed, every nerve screaming for answers, and the city continued to hold its breath, waiting for the next flashpoint in this collision of secrets. The city held its breath. Shadows flitted through the alley, like whispers of ghosts. Samuel's heart pounded as he squinted into the night. Was this it? The moment everything changed? Then it came, a sudden crash. Not a distant rumble, but an explosion that shattered the stillness. A van barreled down the street, tires screaming as it skidded to a halt just feet from Sam's precious cardboard kingdom. The smell of burning rubber mixed with the sour scent of garbage, filling the alley with a thick wave of panic. From the van, 3 figures leaped out. They wore dark vests, faces obscured by caps pulled low. The tension thickened. Samuel felt the cold press of fear squeezing his chest. Could this be the moment he dreaded his whole life? Would they trample on his dignity like everyone else? But then, something else happened. One of the men, the largest of the trio, stumbled as he stepped onto the cracked pavement. He fell, and from the shadows, a glint caught Samuel's eye. A glimmering device slipped from the man's pocket, clattering to the ground. It spun, reflecting the weak light, capturing Samuel's attention entirely. The device, small, maybe the size of a phone, but clearly something more. Sam's instincts kicked in. He reached for it, grabbing it before anyone else could. The moment he touched it, a surge of electricity shot through him like fire racing up his arm. It was overwhelming. Knowledge flooded his mind, whispers of code and data swirling in a tempest of understanding. "Get it back!" one of the other men shouted, his eyes wide with panic. That voice, it felt familiar. Panic turned to clarity as Samuel quickly pieced it together. This wasn't just any operation. They were after him for a reason. This was the secret Musk was desperate to find. And now he held it. Samuel's breath hitched. His heart raced, but it wasn't fear. It was something else. Power. The threads of his existence, once frayed, suddenly wove together into a singular focus. The highway was alive with the sound of sirens. Police lights began to flash in the distance. The men exchanged frantic glances. "We can't be caught without it," one of them pleaded, eyes darting as their exit was cut off. Without thinking, Samuel stood tall, defiant. "You came for this, didn't you?" he yelled, lifting the device high. "Then come and take it!" The street lamps flickered ominously, as if the city itself were holding its breath. The men hesitated, confusion etched on their faces. But Samuel knew this was the moment. He felt the eyes of onlookers now, a mix of curiosity and disbelief washing over them. They watched this man, this black homeless guy, become something larger than life. Then, the largest man stepped forward, a snarl curling his lips. "You don't know what you're playing with, old man. Hand it over, or you'll regret it." Samuel opened his mouth to respond, but the air shifted suddenly. A loud blast erupted, a shockwave of sound that knocked him backward. The ground trembled. What was it? The sound of wheels? A crowd? And then he saw it, a sleek black vehicle, a drone hovering just above the alley, light blazing down like a spotlight. The entire scene froze. All eyes were on him, on the device, on the chaos gradually unfolding. The body inside the drone flickered, and then the screen lit up. Elon Musk's face emerged, his voice echoing through the air. Samuel, you have something very important. Don't let them take it. Stunned silence wrapped the alley like a shroud. What? Samuel's heart raced again. The man he'd watch on screens, the genius, was speaking to him? This was bigger than he realized, bigger than he could have ever imagined. The three men closed in, urgency wrapping around them like a tightening noose. Suddenly, the world shifted. Samuel wasn't just a homeless man anymore. He was a player in a game far beyond his understanding. And now, everything he thought he knew was about to explode. What would he do next? The question hung in the air, electrifying the night. The alley was alive with tension, every heartbeat echoing in the silence. Samuel stood frozen, device clutched tightly, eyes wide at the sight of Elon's face flickering on the screen above them. The three men closed in, their intent clear and urgent. Samuel's mind raced, thoughts colliding like waves crashing against a shore. Don't let them take it! Elon's voice thundered again, grounding Samuel for a split second. But before he could process anything, the men lunged, their dark suits a blur in the rain. Run! Kelly shouted, her voice slicing through the chaos. She grabbed Samuel's hand, pulling him back as the men advanced. Together, they scrambled deeper into the shadows of the alley, hearts pounding in sync. Then, a sudden violence erupted. A loud crack split the air, a gunshot. The sound reverberated, sending ice through Samuel's veins. Kelly ducked, and Samuel stumbled, fear flooding his body. Glancing back, he saw one of the men on the ground, clutching his arm, blood pooling beneath him. Samuel, we can't stay here, Kelly urged, pulling him toward the narrowest exit. But Samuel couldn't move. His eyes were drawn to the fallen man, a wild mix of adrenaline and shock rushing through him. Look! He yelled, pointing. The injured figure, grappling with pain, managed to remove his suit jacket, revealing a tattoo snaking around his forearm. A code of sorts, something eerily familiar. Like the one Samuel had seen in those tech blogs. I know that mark, Samuel shouted, teeth clenched. I saw it on the forums. The other two men froze, confusion flashing. And in that brief moment, a new figure appeared at the alley's entrance, a woman, drenched in rain, hair plastered to her face. It was Laura. Sam, she cried, eyes wide. But her urgency was different now. She wasn't just pleading, she was demanding. Get out of here! This isn't safe! Laura, what's happening? Samuel's voice caught, fear intertwining with anger. Why are you here? Her expression twisted into something darker as she took a step toward him. It's not what you think, she stumbled over her words, breathing hard. Those men, they're not the enemy. No one's the enemy, one of the men shouted back, frustration bubbling. We work for MUSK. Get the device. No one needs to get hurt. Samuel's heart hammered. Trust? His sister, the men, MUSK? Everything was unraveling, and he felt his grip on reality slipping. Then, a piercing scream echoed from behind Laura, and Samuel turned just in time to see a body drop behind her. The chaos distanced him. He zoomed in on the fallen form. A woman, lifeless, eyes staring blankly. It hit him like a thunderclap. His breath caught in his throat. The woman, she looked exactly like Laura. Get up! Get up! Laura screamed, her voice breaking as she rushed to the body. Samuel suelto una cadena dentro en su pecho. ¿Es eso?, le preguntó tremiendo, pero Laura no le respondió. Abrazó la cabeza de la mujer hecha sin interpretarla. El alicante quedó mediudo. Los 3 hombres según le levantaron en silencio, acudiendo la cabeza en alargandar en cara. Pero Samuel cabalcó los 3 veces, viendo, calculando entre sí, con inverte. Ahora vamos a comprenderle algo. ¿Con qué cuervo, Samuel?, amisó de su padre. A la garganta el cuarto. Debe ser así, y eventualmente. Es todo un juego, Sam. Un juego que todos hemos jugado. Y yo estoy perdiendo. And just like that, every thread he thought he had woven into understanding began to fray. Secrets spun around him, tightening like a noose. As sirens drew nearer, the streets came alive again, shouting through chaos, calling for answers. The lines were drawn, but they were all tangled now. Who to trust? Samuel's heart raced. This was bigger than he ever imagined. And with Laura's revelation, nothing would ever be the same. Everything he knew shattered like glass. And as he took a step back, the shadows closed in once more, holding their breath for what would come next. Samuel stood still, heart racing, as the shadows danced around him. The night felt alive, charged with whispered fears and unseen dangers. Was this the moment everything changed? As he scanned the alley, the familiar ache of the past tugged at him, but it mingled with a flicker of resolve. Something inside him stirred, the slight chance that he could take back control. Then it came. A sudden crash echoed through the stillness, rattling the air like a gunshot. The sound was followed by a frenzied scuffle. 2 figures burst from the alleyway, faces obscured by hoods. Samuel's breath caught, his instincts screaming at him to run. But before he could move, a chilling voice cut through the chaos, cold and commanding. Samuel, we know you have it. Give it to us. A heavy silence fell, cutting deeper than the night. Samuel's pulse thundered in his ears. It felt unreal. He had kept what he had. Whatever secret danced just beyond his grasp, as hidden as he had kept his pain. Why would anyone want something from him? The second figure stepped forward, eyes gleaming with ferocity. A glimpse of steel peeking from his belt. Elon Musk's name had buzzed through the city like wildfire today. Now, it felt like a cruel joke. Samuel's heart ached, heavy with confusion and dread. The 3 men, they were after something he didn't fully understand. Something they thought could change everything. But when the first man lunged, everything shattered. His fist connected hard with Samuel's shoulder, sending him crashing to the ground. Pain erupted. Samuel gasped, the asphalt scraping against his skin like broken glass. Just as he struggled to push himself up, he saw it. A flash of light from behind the attackers. "Stop right there! Police!" Suddenly, blue and red lights flooded the alley, illuminating the scene like a waking nightmare. The attackers hesitated, glancing back momentarily stunned. That's when it happened. Something so stunning it felt like a Hollywood twist. A small woman stepped into the light, calm and assured, holding a cell phone in the air. "I got it all on video. You're done." Samuel blinked. That voice, he knew it. It was Sarah, the local journalist who had helped him tell his story once before. But this time, there was something different about her. The fierce determination in her eyes sent a shiver down his spine. Who was she really? And why was she willing to stand in front of those men? The three attackers froze, then surged forward, but the police cars screeched to a halt. Their doors flinging open, officers flooded the scene, guns drawn, shouting commands. Chaos erupted. Shouts, confusion, and the loud crack of pepper spray cut through the air like thunder. In the whirlwind, Samuel saw Sarah. In that split second, his world tilted again. She wasn't just reporting, she was involved. Her life and his now tangled up in a dangerous web. The attackers protected their identities, slipping into the chaos, leaving Samuel gasping on the ground. The secret still locked away deep inside him. His mind raced. What did he hold? What did Sarah know? The sirens blared, bright lights flashing, but Samuel felt darkness creeping back in. He watched the shadowy figures vanish, all the while wondering if he'd ever understand the game being played. A game that had just become a whole lot more dangerous. What was next? Would the night swallow him whole, or would he find a way to fight back? The alley whispered questions that hung heavy in the air, leaving Samuel teetering on the brink of the unknown. The city held its breath as night deepened. Samuel's heart raced. Was this his moment or a trap? Shadows twisted in the alleys. The chill wrapped around him, tightening like a noose. He shifted on his cardboard throne, anxiety tightening his throat. "Sam!" The voice cut through the darkness, a frantic whisper. His breath caught. A figure emerged from the shadows. A woman, eyes wide with fear, clutching a tattered notebook. It was Mia, a kid from the community center. "You have to go!" She rushed, her voice trembling. "What do you mean?" His pulse quickened. Fear etched into her face, made him uneasy. The three men, they aren't here for you. They're here for something you don't even know about. Her words spilled out. What do you know, Mia?" He leaned in, urgency lighting his eyes. But just then, a car revved loudly, its headlights slicing through the fog. A sleek black SUV, the kind rich folks had, pulled up, tires screeching against the gritty pavement. Samuel's stomach dropped. "I can't let them find you," she shouted, grabbing his arm. He pulled back. Why was she so frantic? "Sam, please, you're the only one who can protect it," she cried, her voice barely a whisper now. "What the hell are you talking about?" His frustration boiled. Before she could respond, the SUV door swung open. Three figures stepped out, dark suits swallowing the shadows around them. They moved with a predator's grace, confidence dripping off them like poison. A shiver ran down Samuel's spine. Suddenly, Mia lunged into the street, screaming, "Get back! Stay away from him!" Her fearless act froze the world around them, eyes widening. The three men paused, stunned. Then one of them, a tall guy with piercing blue eyes, smirked. "You really think you're protecting him? You have no idea who he is." Sam's heart raced. "Who was he? What do you mean?" Mia shot back, anger mingling with fear. "The secret! It's not what you think. It's him." The words fell heavy as stones. Samuel staggered back, the weight of that revelation crashing down on him. Mia's eyes flickered to Samuel. "What? No, it can't be," the man continued. "Samuel doesn't just hold a secret, he is the key. The very technology you've been dreaming of, Sam. It's literally built into you." His tone dripped with disdain. Everything twisted. He felt sick, his palms clammy. "What are you saying?" The man stepped forward, his voice dropping. "You're not just a homeless man. You're something far more valuable. And those tech blogs? That was just the beginning. They'll find you. But do you really want to know what happens when they do?" Silence cloaked them. Just the hum of the cars passing, the city's pulse, barely a whisper against the chaos unfurling within him. Mia's expression morphed. Confusion turned to betrayal. "Sam, you knew?" she stammered. "No, I swear I didn't." But before he could finish, the three men advanced, their eyes burning with intent. "It's not just about AI anymore, Samuel. It's about control, and the clock is ticking." As their faces loomed closer, a siren sliced through the air, louder and closer. "Go, now!" Mia screamed, pushing him toward the alley. But Samuel hesitated. Was he a victim or something more dangerous? The night turned electric with fear. The walls around him felt like they were closing in. The danger was real, but so was something deeper. What was this secret buried within him? And just like that, everything he knew slipped from his grasp. The stakes were higher than he ever imagined, and the game had only just begun. The city held its breath. Samuel stood at the edge of his world, staring down the dark alley, heart racing. Fear pulsed in his throat. Was this what it felt like to stand on the edge of a cliff, knowing the wind could push him off? Then it happened. A loud crash echoed through the tension, sending a wave of startled whispers rippling through the gathering crowd. Glass shattered somewhere down the alley, bright shards clattering against concrete. And there they were, the three men, clad in black, shadows among shadows, now moving closer, their faces obscured. They didn't look like they were there to help. Samuel's instincts kicked in. He took a step back, but then he heard it. An unmistakable cry. "Sam!" The voice was frantic, cutting through the chaos like a knife. It was Angela, his old friend, her face pale in the flickering lamplight. She ran towards him, breathless, eyes wide with fear. "Run!" she urged, grabbing his arm. "They're not here for you. They want—" Before she could finish, one of the men lunged forward. He held something in his hand, glinting in the dim light. A knife? No, it looked like a gadget, something techy and sinister. Samuel's stomach twisted. "What do you want?" he shouted, but it felt weak against the looming threat. The man with the gadget stopped suddenly, the air thick with silence. A smirk crept across his face, revealing something dark behind his calm demeanor. "We know he's here," he said, nodding toward Samuel, "and we know about the secret." A chill ran through Samuel. The secret? What did they want with him? No, he was just trying to live, to survive in this tattered city. He clenched his fists, ready to fight or flee. And then everything changed. Another loud crash, but this one came from behind. A blinding light exploded down the alley, illuminating everything for a split second. Samuel squinted against the brightness. A car, no, a massive van, slammed to a halt. Doors swung open, and figures poured out, armed and shouting. "Back off!" They stormed forward, their uniforms shining strangely under the streetlights. A private security force? No, more like a military unit. Panic erupted. The three men glanced at each other, taking a step back, reeling. But Samuel felt unbelievably center stage in this chaos. "Samuel!" someone shouted through the fray, a voice he recognized too well. It was Elon Musk. Yes, the billionaire, he was there, his face twisted in urgency, his eyes darting between the men and Samuel. "We need to get you out of here." Sam's heart raced now, not just with fear, but something else. Confusion? Surprise? "You've been looking for me?" he blurted, the question spilling from his lips almost against his will. "Not just me. They're a step ahead," Musk replied, a raw edge in his voice, glancing at the three men. Suddenly, the three shadowy figures turned. One of them raised his gadget. A shrill beep pierced the night, cutting through the chaos. Samuel's heart sank. "What are you doing?" he shouted. And in that beat, the explosion shattered the night. A surge of pure energy radiated outward. The darkness surrounded them, then rushed back. In a horrifying twist, it didn't feel like chaos filled the air. It felt peaceful. Samuel blinked, disoriented, as flickering images danced across the alley wall. Holograms of hidden servers, lines of code, laughter, pain, betrayal. Everything he thought was happening faded and twisted into something he could barely grasp. And then he realized it wasn't just darkness surrounding him, it was knowledge. The city had secrets to reveal. He could feel it in his bones. What did he hold? What truths lay buried in his mind, waiting to surface? As the crowd gasped in disbelief, Samuel's heart thundered. This was just the beginning. Everything he thought he knew was about to flipping upside down. What could he unleash? What would happen next? The crowd gasped, eyes locked on Samuel, as the explosion rippled around them. The darkness seemed to pulse and crackle with energy, forcing him to blink against the sudden light. Knowledge surged through him, swirling images and codes flashing in his mind like old movie reels. He could feel it deep in his bones, a connection stronger than anything he had ever known. But it was now or never. He was here. Prompt. This was his moment. But before he could even form a plan, something shifted. A figure in the chaos caught his eye, a blur moving fast, darting through the confusion. Suddenly, someone lunged for him, arms outstretched, and Samuel's heart leaped into his throat. It was a woman, soaking wet, hair sticking to her face, eyes wild with panic. "Sam!" It was Laura, his estranged sister. "Get down!" She threw herself at him just as another explosion detonated. Not an explosion in the alley, but a brilliant flash from the black SUV, sending the three men scattering like leaves in a storm. "What is happening?" Samuel yelled, trying to make sense of the chaos. Was this all connected to him? "You don't know what they want," Laura cried, grabbing his arm. "They've been after you!" Panic laced her tone, twisting the knife of confusion deeper into his gut. But just then, another wave of energy pulsed through the air, sizzling with an electric charge that made the hair on his arms stand up. The shadows began to shift, and Samuel blinked as a new silhouette emerged in the chaos. It was the man from ELON's security detail. Tall, imposing, but this time different. His face contorted in rage. He flung out his arm directly at Samuel. "You have to get it to me now!" Before Samuel had a chance to respond, the woman, Laura, swung into action. With surprising speed, she pulled something shiny from her pocket, and in one swift motion, hurled it towards the man. The object hit the ground and released a bright flash of light, blinding everyone in the vicinity. "Laura, no!" Samuel shouted, but it was too late. The man reeled, momentarily dazed, and Laura took the opening to push Samuel forward. "Run!" she shouted, urgency twisting her features. "We can't let them take you. Not now. Not after everything." But that wasn't the only thing that happened. As the light faded, Samuel felt a jolt inside him. Something connected to that device. Something buried deep within him. It was awakening. "Sam, we have to go." But as Laura grabbed his hand, everything went silent. With a sudden clarity, Samuel felt a surge of purpose. "Wait! Where are you going, Laura?" The air felt thick again. The crowd hushed in expectation. Then came the bombshell. "I'm the one they want, Sam," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's not just about you. I've been parading as your sister for years, but I'm the key they truly seek." His world spun. "What? No, you—" "No time! Just trust me!" she interrupted, gripping his shoulders as if to ground him. "I didn't choose this, but I have to return to them. You have to be the one to end this." And with that, the chaos reignited. Samuel's heart sank, betrayal carving a hollow ache in his chest. As she turned to flee into the crowd, the reality struck him like a punch to the gut. She wasn't just fighting for him. She was tangled up in a web of secrets, and it was all falling apart. The three men stumbled back into view, eyes narrowing at the scene unfolding. Sirens continued blaring in the distance, panic rising. The surprise that coursed between them felt like ice. Laura's betrayal cut deep, like a wound that refused to heal. And just like that, Samuel stood at a precipice of uncertainty. The moment hung heavy, stretching time until it shattered. What was he really a part of? What did she mean by being the key? Suddenly, he was drowning in questions he didn't want to ask, and the answers felt more dangerous than ever. But before he could catch his breath, the hushed whispers of the crowd turned to frantic shouts. The SUV's door burst open again, but this time, it wasn't just another shadowy figure. It was Elon Musk himself, stepping out with a chilling intensity, eyes staring straight through everyone. "Samuel," he called, "this is no longer just about fate. It's about stopping a war." And in that instant, everything shifted again. The crowd surged, and Samuel's heart raced. Time blurred, and he felt the tenuous threads of his reality unraveling. The alliance before him, friends, enemies, truths and lies, merged into a swirling chaos. With Laura disappearing into the night and Elon's urgent plea hanging in the air, Samuel had one choice: to trust or to run. One question echoed through the chaos, leaving only silence in its wake. What if everything he believed fell apart? Samuel froze, the world around him blurring into a chaotic rush. Musk's voice drummed in his ears, but everything felt far away. His heart was a wild drumbeat, pounding against his chest. What does he mean? A war? But before he could process it, the shadows shifted violently, and the moment stretched, becoming heavier. Behind Elon, the crowd parted to reveal more figures stepping from the SUV. But this time, they were different. Official, stern faces shining in the light. It was a group of law enforcement officers, maybe even federal agents. They rushed in, tense urgency etched into every move. Shouting orders, guns drawn, they advanced with purpose, pushing the crowd back. Move back! Clear the area! Their commands rang out like thunder, but the crowd remained frozen, mouths agape, eyes darting from Samuel to Musk and back. A panic spiraled through them. "Sam!" Laura's voice shattered through the chaos. He twisted to see her fighting her way back toward him, desperation etched deep in her eyes. But before he could call out, everything exploded. A deafening bang ripped through the air, echoing off the walls like a living beast awakened. Samuel's heart seized as he whipped around to see a massive flash erupt from the SUV. Smoke billowed high, a choking black cloud engulfing the alley. A terrible heat rushed towards him, singeing everything in its path. Samuel stumbled back, stunned. Confusion gripped him. Had they been ambushed? Was the chaos even real? Shapes blurred through the smoke, some fallen, some scrambling. And in that chaos, a piercing scream tore through the night. "Sam!" Laura's voice again, but then it was gone, swallowed by the roar. Time slowed. Samuel could barely breathe. Fear twisted his stomach. Was she? No, he couldn't think that way. He forced himself to move, but his limbs felt heavy, rooted to the ground. Then he saw them, the three men, each caught off guard, confusion painting their faces as they shielded their eyes from the chaos. But in the midst of it all, something shifted again. A figure emerged from the smoke. It was a woman, standing at the edge, just past the debris. Her hair billowed around her like a dark cloud. Then she stepped forward, and Samuel's breath caught. It was Claire, the tech investor he had only seen on the screens, the one who had backed Elon's projects. Her face was veiled with resolve, and yet it was the look in her eyes that froze Samuel's breath. Betrayal danced there, just behind her fierce determination. "Claire?" he gasped. The name tasting foreign on his tongue. "Sam," she said, urgency cracking her voice. "You don't understand. They're coming for you, for your power, and for—" But before she finished, the air thickened with the smell of burning rubber, and the lights flickered under the pressure. The chaos was a hurricane around them, a storm brewing, born of shadows and secrets. Then it happened. Claire's expression twisted, anguish flashing across her face, and she turned back to face the SUV. "No, you can't!" A piercing shot rang out, and everything erupted into a whirlwind of chaos. Dust, smoke, screams. A gut-wrenching wave of terror overtook the scene. Everything shifted. Then Samuel felt her tugging at his arm. "We need to go, now!" But her voice drifted, as if pulling him underwater. He turned just in time to see Elon stagger back, his face pale as the smoke tore through him. "No!" Claire cried out, trying to reach him. But the moment hung in the air. a pendulum swinging dangerously. The truth of it all slammed into Samuel like a freight train. It wasn't the chaos that scared him. It was the realization that Claire wasn't just there for help. She was connected to the secret he held. Before he could process further, a cold dread filled the air. Shadowy figures lunged from the smoke, hands reaching for Samuel, and he felt a sudden surge within him, a spark igniting a flame. Everything he thought was scattered in the air like ashes. "Get him!" roared one of the men, his intent clearer than ever. And in an instant, Samuel understood. It wasn't just Laura they sought. It was everything she had woven into their lives, every thread tangled with blood. It was about power and control, but above all, it was about survival. As the darkness pressed in closer, Samuel's breath caught once more. Who was truly an ally? Who was the enemy? Claire's eyes fell upon him, fear-filled but fierce, just like Laura's. No one was innocent. And now, everything teetered on a knife's edge, just a breath away from plunging into oblivion. Was this really real? What had he become amidst the storm? As the shadows closed in, thick and suffocating, Samuel knew he stood at the brink of a terrifying truth. And he could only brace for impact. Samuel's heart hammered in his chest as the smoke cloud swirled around them, thick and suffocating. The chaos of shouts and sirens created a brutal symphony, drowning him in confusion. But as he stood there, frozen with fear, he could feel the weight of the moment pressing down like a lead blanket. "Sam?" Laura's voice cut through the haze. She stepped forward, eyes wide and frantic. "We need to get out now!" Her urgency pulled him back into reality. But the truth she revealed echoed painfully in his mind. The betrayal cut deep. Before he could respond, the three shadowy men began to gather themselves from the explosion. Their rage simmered, eyes locked onto Samuel with ferocious intensity. The tall one, the leader, raised another device, a glinting gadget that sent a jolt of terror through Samuel. But then Claire stepped up beside him, her face taut with determination. "Samuel, focus!" she yelled over the chaos. "You have to believe me. They'll do anything to control it. To control you." "Control me? Why?" Samuel shouted back, disbelief flooding him. The weight of it all was heavy, too heavy. Sweat dripped down his brow as he struggled to piece it together. A flicker of understanding flashed in Claire's gaze. But before she could explain, Laura lunged at the leader, tackling him to the ground. They crashed onto the asphalt, her determination blazing. "Get away from him!" "Oh!" Or released. "Fi. Ah. Aya. Oba. Fitsta pala welan. Maria. Vino. Akiakuta. Osampain keme. Ikenatela. ¡Oh! No saben cómo me enterar. Reaccionata. He remembered the device, the one that had surged with energy when he held it. "No, Sam, don't!" Claire screamed. But it was too late. With a quick motion, he reached into the depths of his pocket, where he thought it lingered. His fingers brushed the cold metal, and he pulled it out, feeling an electrifying jolt again. As he held it up, the air trembled, a flicker of power that shifted the tide of the chaos. The three men paused, eyes widening with fear. Had he finally moved the pieces on the board? "Come and take it!" he shouted, bravado surging through him. And at that moment, it became clear. He wouldn't be a pawn any longer. He wouldn't let anyone control him. A loud thud broke the instant tension as a cop arrived, shouting for backup. The shadows closed in, but Samuel felt a surge of clarity. He had the power to change this. The device buzzed in unison with his racing heart, and in an instant he saw his chance. "Run! Now!" he yelled to Laura and Claire. They needed to escape while the men were distracted by the arrival of law enforcement. Adrenaline surged as he led the way through the smoke towards the light shining from the street. He could feel them gaining ground, heavy footsteps echoing behind. He didn't look back, trusting that Laura would keep pace. Then a loud bang erupted, echoing through the alley. Gunshots? No! Fireworks! The city celebrating something far removed from their turmoil. He didn't stop to ponder. As they rounded a corner, they ducked into a narrow path that led to an old building. Ha 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 ha! Breathless, they huddled against the cold brick wall, listening as the chaos unfolded behind them. "Did we lose them?" Laura whispered, her face pale, breaths heavy. Samuel nodded, heart racing. "I think for now." He paused, swallowing hard. "But why did you really come back, Laura? You lied about everything." Her face twisted with regret. "I had to, Sam. I thought I could fix this, but I didn't mean for it to go this far." As she spoke, the distant sirens grew louder, pulsing through the chaotic night like a heartbeat. They moved into a half circle, and Claire took a step closer to Samuel, her gaze intense. "Whatever happens next, we face it together. No more secrets. We'll find a way to stop them. But we need to know what that device really is." Samuel's heart felt lighter at her words. He felt hope flickering in the darkness. But uncertainty still loomed over them all. What were they up against? It didn't matter. The device hummed with potential, pulsing against his palm. And as they huddled together, the shadows closing in around them, one lingering thought crept into Samuel's mind. Just because night had fallen didn't mean the dawn wasn't coming. But even in the warmth of their brief camaraderie, one thing was clear. He had to learn more about that device and about himself. Now, no more backing down. He had to take control of his own fate. Before the tension could spiral out of control, a powerful voice cut through the air, slicing through the noise. "Elon Musk has found the key!" The announcement echoed, fueling uncertainty. It had just begun, and this time they wouldn't be the victims. You have to subscribe immediately so you don't miss what comes next. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments with your reactions, your theories about what's going to happen. And don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.